Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we take the sources you send us and, well, we really get into them.
That's right. And today, we're diving deep into the world of trance music. We've got two pretty massive sets to talk about.
Yeah, two really significant moments for trance fans, actually. First up, we've got Tiesto. He did an In Search of Sunrise set at EDC Las Vegas just this year, 2025.
Right. That was May 18th. Technically the early hours of the 19th. A huge deal because it was seen as him, going back to his trance origins.
Exactly. And then the second one we're looking at is Armin van Buuren's epic 6-hour classic trance set. That was from a State of Trance Reflection in Utrecht back in March 2023.
A monster set. So two legends, two different takes on classic trance.
So that's our mission today, basically. We're going to compare these two approaches. How did they revisit those classic sounds? What did it mean for the fans, for the genre? Should be interesting.
Definitely. Where should we start? Tiesto at EDC.
Yeah, we'll kick off with Tiesto. That In Search of Sunrise tag. That carries a lot of weight, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. For anyone into trance back in the day, the ASOT compilation series was, well, iconic. It started back in '99 on Black Hole Recordings.
Tiesto mixed the first 7, I think.
That's right. And they really define a certain sound, deep, atmospheric, very melodic, progressive trance. It stood out from some of the harder stuff around at the time.
Yeah, I remember those mixes. They really were the soundtrack to a lot of, well, sunrises, I guess. Both literal and metaphorical for people. Deeply atmospheric.
And the setting for this return couldn't be more fitting, really. EDC, Las Vegas, Kinetic Field, the main stage, and we're talking 4:13 a.m., that magical pre-dawn hour.
Right in the middle of this massive festival, too.
Yeah.
Kinetic Metropolis was the theme, wasn't it? 16 stages, hundreds of artists.
Exactly. So dropping this kind of classic trance set there, it's a statement.
You can just imagine the buzz around it. People have been asking Tiesto for a set like this for years, haven't they?
Definitely. He's explored so many sounds, but for a lot of older fans, that early trance sound is special. And it's interesting, he's been doing those prismatic sets recently too, leaning more melodic. Seems like a genuine return to those sounds for him.
Yeah, and the reaction online seemed to confirm that hunger for it. Reddit, social media. People were losing their minds.
Totally. Lots of comments about nostalgia, people saying those old ASOS mixes got them into dance music or helped them through tough times. It clearly has a deep emotional connection for many.
That's powerful stuff. And looking at the track list people shared, you can see why the old school fans were excited. Like York's Reachers of Civilization, the Tiesto remix.
Oh yeah, and that Imogen Heap Hide and Seek ASOS remix became such a signature track for him. Karen Overton's Your Loving Arms. These are defining tunes.
Absolutely. Rui da Silva's Touch Me, his remix of that. Mecca's Diamondback. Salt Tank's Eugenia.
Yeah, the Michael Woods remix, Tiesto edit, these are cornerstones of that early 2000s progressive trance sound. It's very much that specific vibe he was tapping into.
And it keeps going, right? BT's Mercury and Solace, Nolan and Kane's Open Your Eyes, Way Out West's Mind Circus, the Gabriel and Dresden mix. Just classic after classic.
It really is. And interesting that he included a Tiesto 2025 remix of Paul Oakenfold's Southern Sun. So a little modern touch on a huge classic.
Always interesting to see how they update things.
But the core of it seems very curated, It wasn't just random old tracks. It felt like hitting those specific emotional notes ASOS was known for. LSG's Netherworld.
And of course, Delirium's Silence. The Tiesto ASOS remix is legendary. Mentioning a 2025 remix there too.
Yeah, these are anthems. It feels like he carefully picked the pillars of that specific sound, a very focused nostalgia trip.
Definitely sounds like a carefully crafted journey back, maybe with a few modern polishes. Okay, so that's the Tiesto side of things. A focused return.
Right. Now, shifting gears to Armin's marathon set in Utrecht. Quite a different beast.
Totally different. 6 hours.
Yeah.
At the ASOT 1000 celebration reflection back in 2023, that's commitment.
It really was, and he framed it explicitly as an ode to classic trance. The atmosphere must have been insane.
6 hours, though. That's an endurance test for everyone involved.
Right.
But yeah, it shows his dedication. And the track list. It's like a history lesson.
Absolutely. He kicked off with things like Andane's Beautiful Things, the Gabriel and Dresden Unplugged mix. Still classic, but maybe slightly more contemporary than some of Tiesto's picks.
Yeah, and things like Gareth Emery's Saving Light, Yuri Kane's Right Back. Tracks that feel classic now, but are from a slightly later era, perhaps.
Exactly. And you immediately see a broader range than Tiesto's set, maybe. Armin touched on uplifting, progressive, even hints of harder stuff later on.
Then you get into those huge anthems like Cosmic Gate's Be Your Sound, Gareth Emery's Concrete Angel.
Even Faithless's Insomnia, though in an Andrew Rayel remix, which is an interesting choice for a classic set.
Shows a wider definition of classic, maybe?
Well,
Or just playing tracks he loves that fit the vibe.
could be. And the sheer scope is impressive. He covers so much ground. John O'Callaghan's Find Yourself dash Berlin's Till the Sky Falls Down.
Above and Beyond and Ocean Lab stuff. On a Good Day, Metropolis. Pushes Universal Nation. Just huge tracks.
There for Life, too, Above and Beyond and Andy Moore. Simon Patterson's Now I Can Breathe Again. It's a real mix of eras within trance.
Definitely feels less focused on one specific sound than the Tiesto set seemed to be. More of a broad sweep.
I think so. And then you hit those older bedrock classics, Synergy's Hello Strings, Energy 52's Café Del Mar, though again, often in newer remixes like the Mark Sixma one.
Chicane Saltwater, Kreider remix, Tin Liquor's take on Robert Miles' Children, and even Age of Love.
Yeah, the Charlotte DeWitt and Enrico Sangiuliano remix. That's a very modern techno-influenced take on an absolute cornerstone trance track. Bold choice.
And that's where some of the fan reactions got a bit more nuanced, wasn't it? People loved the journey, the energy, but some weren't sure about the modern remixes.
Exactly, you saw that discussion online. While the overall feeling was overwhelmingly positive, people calling it emotional, unforgettable. Some purists felt the quick mixing or the heavy modern remixes took away from the original feel of certain tracks.
I can see that. It changes the nostalgic element if the track sounds quite different.
Right, but you can't fault the ambition. Covering that much trance history in 6 hours, tracks like Fly Away, In and Out of Love, Tuvan, Anahira, Superstring, Waiting, Airwaves, Satellite, Exploration of Space.
Even pulling out Tiesto's Lethal Industry, but in a Jorn van Dijnhoven remix. And Svensson Gielen's Twisted, another JVD remix.
Yeah, lots of big modern remixes alongside the originals or older mixes like Isla, Resurrection, Paul Van Dyk's For an Angel.
He even played Silence, the Tiesto Isos remix, interestingly enough.
And Veracocha's Carte Blanche, Tiesto's Adagio for Strings, Marcel Wood's Advanced, his own Shivers, and the ASOT 2023 anthem Reflection with Cosmic Gate. It was massive.
Okay, so pulling back, two huge DJs known for trance, both doing classic sets, but approaching it quite differently.
Definitely. Tiesto felt like a very specific, curated dive back into that In Search of Sunrise sound. Shorter, more focused, really aiming for that deep, atmospheric nostalgia, like opening a time capsule.
Yeah, a concentrated dose of a particular golden era.
Whereas Armin went for the epic journey. 6 hours allowed him to cover a much wider range of trance history, different substyles, different eras. He included those iconic anthems, but wasn't afraid to blend in modern interpretations.
So Tiesto offered maybe a more pure slice of a specific past, while Armin gave a broader, more evolutionary look at classic trance, including how it's viewed and remixed today.
That's a good way to put it, I think. Tiesto's was like revisiting a cherished memory intact. Armin's was like walking through the whole photo album, including recent pictures next to the old ones.
Both incredibly valid ways to do it, and clearly both resonated massively with fans, even if for slightly different reasons.
Absolutely. It really highlights the enduring power of these classic trance tracks and melodies. Whether it's a pure nostalgia hit or a broader celebration, the connection is still there.
It shows the legacy is strong. So wrapping up this deep dive, it's clear trance's classic era still holds a powerful allure.
For sure. And it's fascinating to see these two icons engage with it in their own distinct ways.
It definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it? What does it mean for a genre to look back like this? And how do these different ways of remembering the focused time capsule versus the broad historical sweep connect with listeners who've lived through that history?
Yeah, what does it say about music cycles and that constant conversation between the past and the present sound? Something to chew on.
Definitely something to think about. Okay, that's it for us in this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.